go by and get a trifold. So let's talk about Techline versus Danforth real quick. If you are pulled over on the side of the road and you see your brother, your cousin, your lover, your best friend, and they have the cops behind them and they're pulled over, whether that be on the freeway or on a back road, you can pull to the side and film that cop. So the reason why me and my group of scholars put Techline versus Danforth in the trifold is because of what the Mississippi Supreme Court Justice wrote in the actual holding of Techline versus Danforth.
Techlines Incorporated versus Danforth, 1943. Virgil A. Griffith delivered the opinion for the court. This case involves the proper and permissible interpretations of Section 90, Chapter 200, Law 1938, known as the Uniform Highway Traffic Regulation Act. The right to travel means, of course, the right to go from one place to another. It includes the right, 1, to start, 2, to go forward on the way, and 3, to stop when the traveler's destination has been reached. To speak of the first two of these fundamental rights without including the third would be to descend again to the absurd. And so far as the instant case is concerned, that is what we have here. But we do not so limit the right. We affirm that it includes the right to stop on the way temporarily for legitimate or necessary purpose when that purpose is an immediate incident to travel. So it is that the texts and authorities declare that the right to stop when the occasion demands is an incident to the right to travel, a proposition so completely self-evident that no authority is necessary to sustain it, and which we would pronounce irrefutable, had it never been heretofore been mentioned. But here are some of the authorities which do declare and sustain it. Blanchfield Automobile Law, Fulton County versus Chateau Counter Farmers, Morton versus Mooney, Albright versus Waterloo Construction. When, then, the right to stop is arbitrarily or unreasonably restricted or cut off by statutory enactment, the statute is objectable from the constitutional standpoint, as had the enactment prevented going forward. The right aforesaid being fundamental are constitutional rights, and while the exercise thereof may be reasonably regulated by legislative act in pursuance of the police powers of the state, and although those powers are broad, they do not rise above those privileges which are embedded in the constitutional structure. The police powers cannot justify the enactment of any law which amounts to an arbitrary and unwarranted interference with or unreasonable restriction on those rights of the citizen, which are fundamental.
If you guys don't have my trifold, you definitely want to have my trifold, especially after you hear this, because Techlines versus Danforth was written by an absolute legal legend who's going to equate, like I've always said, your right to stop when you feel necessary. And that my necessary is what? I'm a member of the press. My necessary is to stop and film the cops. Now you may not be like me. It might be your cousin, your brother, your best friend, your lover, your sister, whoever it is that is stopped by the police on the highway, and you want to pull behind them and film the interaction to make sure your loved one is safe. Techlines versus Danforth. You have the right to stop and film them when you find it necessary. I would be more than willing to go to court and take that Mississippi Supreme Court Justice's argument that we don't have an inherent right to travel if we don't have an inherent right to stop. You should have this in your car. If you don't have $5, I'll give it to you for free. I think everybody probably has $5, but you should have this in your car. The downloadable one is $5, $5 trifold. If you want the indestructible one, it's $25. Make sure you go to DeleteLawZ and get that trifold. It's only $5. You can print it out yourself. You should know every single Supreme Court law on that piece of paper. You should know it backwards and forward, and naysayers be damned.